June 4th, 2020. From El Cajon in San Diego, California, this is episode 210 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting at his home is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Well, the casinos are opening up. A lot of them have already opened, and we have made a trip, finally, to Harrah's, Southern California. Let's play a quick call from listener Alex before we get into some details.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Alex from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm glad that the casinos are opening back up. As I could tell from the last episode, you two were like kids at Christmas, all giddy and happy compared to the previous episodes when the casinos were closed. Y'all sounded a little bit depressed. I look forward to hearing this week's episode now that y'all finally got to get to the tables and ready for some stories of how y'all did. Plan on making a trip to Biloxi probably within the next week or so. So if y'all have any updates on what the tables are looking like in Biloxi, that'd be good to hear. Thanks. Hope y'all are doing well. Bye.
Yeah, we haven't heard any details about Biloxi, but by the next episode, maybe some people will call in with trip reports, that kind of thing. But let's get to our trip to Harrah's. We really didn't know what to expect going in there as far as safety and tables and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we had heard some rumors of things, but we didn't know, if they were really going to be true or if it was going to be as extensive as people said.
Yeah.
So we were very curious when we drove up.
Well, they directed us to a particular parking lot there because they were limiting access to the building to just one entrance. And it was not their parking structure, which would have required us to either take stairs or take an elevator. We didn't want to do that anyway. So we parked where they showed us to park. And yeah, going in, there was no line. There was certainly an area for a line if, they had enough people. It was all cordoned off and everything. But no line. We walked up there, and sure enough, when we went in, they took our temperature just with apparently a thermal scanner because they were able to look on a screen as we walked in.
Yeah, I loved that thermal scanner because I felt like that scene in Total Recall when he's going to Mars and they're going through the scanner, right? That's what I felt like. I thought, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, right. I don't know if everything turned out okay in that movie, though.
Yeah. Well, I guess at the end it was okay.
I guess so. It's been a while since I've seen it.
They freed the people.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got in there, and yes, masks were required, not just for employees, but for customers as well. The tables, sure enough, were just 3 players per table, and it was every other table. So they had every other table closed down. There weren't even seats there where you could sit down. Same with the slot machines, of course. Every other machine was turned off. Just before we talk about craps, at the table games, everything was being dealt face up. So that was pretty much blackjack and face up pai-gow poker. So they didn't have regular pai-gow where you touched your cards. It was just all face up. And when everything is face up, the players don't even need to tell the dealer how they're going to set their hand, right? Because it's going to be obvious.
Right.
They're going to want to set it in a way that gives them the best result.
Yeah, you basically have one function to decide how much money you're going to bet.
Exactly.
And that's it.
And plenty of hand sanitizer everywhere. We finally went up to the craps table, and sure enough, it was 3 players per side, so 6 players maximum at the tables. A couple things, though, did surprise us. Now, Harrah's, Southern California has, for the last few years, had 4 craps tables. When we got up there, they had 2 normal craps tables, plus, to our surprise, a roll-to-win craps table. That's that craps table that's electronic, where everybody sits in front of a terminal and makes their bets, and the only dealer there is just a stick person who enters the rolls into a computer. But you bet everything on a console just like you would at a shoot-to-win craps machine. Now, the thing is, even though it's half machine, they were still using cards to determine the outcome of the rolls. Mike, it's interesting. Just as an aside, I tweeted out a picture of you sitting at the craps table recently, and some listeners were a little surprised to see the cards on the table. They just weren't familiar with us talking about how the craps in California has to be card-based. And we can go on about that ad infinitum. It's a stupid procedure, but it allows them to get around an antiquated California law, which says that all table games have to be based on cards. And this also applied to the roll to win table. Now, the roll to win table seemed to be pretty popular, but the process to me was just so laborious because, first of all, the shooter would roll the dice. The stick person would look at the roll on the dice to determine which cards to push forward that would actually determine the roll. And then the stick person would enter that into the machine and hit OK. So he or she would have to be really careful that they didn't inadvertently enter the dice roll, the actual roll on the dice, but rather the cards. And it seems to me that you're going to have dealer mistakes anyway. It seems like it's just that extra level where you're really bound to have mistakes happen every once in a while.
Right. It's so weird. I mean, there's such a process to go through before you actually know what the roll is on the machine,
Yep. And I talked to one of the dealers there, Wendy. I asked her, hey, what happens if you enter the wrong roll? And in fact, when we were there, we actually saw one of the dealers enter the wrong roll. The roll was a 10, technically a 6-4, and he inadvertently entered 6-5, which was 11. Well, 11's a pretty good roll to accidentally type in because it doesn't really affect the overall game. So that wasn't that big a deal. But I said to Wendy, what if it's really a significant bad entrant, like a 7 out, that kind of thing, or you enter the point by mistake when it wasn't really the point. Anyway, she said that it's technically the responsibility of the slot department. So the slot attendants actually come over and manually pay off people at the stations. Now, that's good for a payout situation, but it doesn't quite get the machine in the right mode. Maybe it's a come out roll, but the machine thinks it's in the middle of a roll or vice versa. Anyway, I guess it can be quite confusing. Didn't you said you went up there without me. You actually saw a pretty big problem at the roll to win craps table.
Yeah, I was there last night, and I was playing the real craps table next to the roll to win. And at one point, things stopped, and there was a little commotion, and a couple of pit bosses went over, and they were talking. And then, I'm glad you mentioned this, because then, the head slot attendant came over, and she was the one who was playing with the machine. Mm-hmm. And it looked to me like maybe the dealer had inputted something and then tried to somehow correct it. And things were all amiss. And I am not kidding, Mark. It took like 20 minutes to get this. I'm sitting there playing, just watching this whole thing unfold. And at one point, the slot attendant, she went around to each station and changed something on each station, I guess giving them money. Yeah. Maybe she had to look and see who had bet what or whatever. Anyway, it was a full table, too. There were quite a few people on it. So it took a while. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way I'm playing that. I would be so annoyed if we had to sit there for 20 minutes while they figured something out. And one of the dealers asked me, do you have any interest in playing that? I'm like, no. And not so much for mistakes, but it's a time thing. So after a certain roll, there's a time limit before you have to make all your decisions before the next roll.
Right.
I'm telling them, well, look, if an 8 comes up, the machine pays me, then I've got to press my bet, and maybe I have to replace my hard 8. And if I want to do anything else or anything, I just don't think I'll make the time limit. Yeah. To me, it would be stressful. Maybe if you're a person who, you make 2 bets and that's all you do. But if you make plenty of bets, it'd be stressful to get them out there in time. It wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, well, I think this is a major problem with these roll-to-win tables, just the fact that it doesn't handle human error very well, that once they hit confirm, and of course they shouldn't be making mistakes, but they're going to make mistakes, and it's going to be even worse here with the cards. There's got to be a better way to back this all up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they'll get the bugs worked out at some point, and maybe it'll be better. And probably when dealers are more familiar with it, right?
Yeah.
Because they've only had it for like a week and a half. Yeah. There are a few other things I noticed last night. I might as well just tell them now since we're talking about it. Since we initially went there, they have opened more tables. One of the dealers was talking about it. He turned to the pit and he said something like, hey, there's more tables open tonight. And she said, yeah, we've opened more. And I noticed it wasn't every other table.
Oh, okay.
So there were some closed, but a lot of the tables were open. Here in San Diego, the county has been pushing the state to reopen faster. And I was listening to somebody today, and they were saying, well, summer's coming, and that's our big time to make money. San Diego's a big tourist spot, and we're hoping people will come. So we want restaurants open. We want hotels open. They want things open. And we haven't had that bad an outbreak here in San Diego,
right,
as opposed to the rest of California. So they're kind of pushing it. So I was thinking to myself, well, maybe the casinos are thinking, oh, things aren't so bad, and they are doing a very good job at sterilizing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're going to try and open it faster. Maybe they'll return to full capacity, quicker than they expected, I'm assuming.
Well, you say there are more tables, but one thing that disappointed us now is that they only have 2 regular craps tables.
Right. When I asked about that, nobody seemed to know. I said, well, eventually we're going to have the 4 tables back, or, what's going to happen? Nobody seemed to know. So,
well, I do know that they did not hire back all of their dealers because they didn't need all of their dealers. And there are only so many dealers who know how to deal craps. So that could have something to do with it. But from our perspective now, only 2 tables, maximum of 6 players on each table. So that means only 12 players can play craps unless they're using roll to win or shoot to win with it. Only 12 players maximum in the whole casino. And luckily, when we went up there, we were able to get on a table. We took like the last couple of seats. And I guess you've been up a couple times too. You were able to get on okay?
Yeah, both of the times I went up without you, I was able to get on okay because they just happened to be opening up that second table when I got there. Now, one time was early in the morning, and one time was kind of early-ish in the evening, like, 6:37. One thing I did notice, too, is that the limits on the 2 tables, well, at least last night, they were 15 and 25.
That's unusual for a weeknight.
Yeah, for a weeknight, they had the second table at 25. So that does leave spots open for players.
Yeah.
And they had no problem filling it. When I left, I was only there, maybe an hour. Both tables were pretty much full. Another funny thing I should mention is that on the roll to win table, the limits are $5 to $5,000.
It's a higher maximum limit at the roll to win table.
Yeah, which on the like the $25 table, it's a minimum 25, maximum 2,500.
Yeah.
But on the roll to win, you can go to 5,000, and you can also. That's always, at least the times I've been there so far, it's been $5 minimum. So that's nice for people who want to play $5 minimum.
That is nice. Well, as we said, masks were required for players as well. 3 players on each side of the craps table. Now, we were kind of laughing at that picture that I posted of you, Mike, because you were pretty close to the stick person. You certainly weren't 6 feet away. You were pressed right up against him.
And when Wendy was on stick, we bumped several times because she's shorter and she has to lean with that stick.
Yeah.
And I'd just be sitting there and I'd lean one way and she'd lean and we'd bump. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, I don't care. She was fine with it.
They do a lot of disinfecting. Anytime there's a dealer change, they wipe down, the puck and where they're standing and, the stick, all sorts of different things. I certainly felt pretty safe there. It seemed like they were doing all the right things. Really, my only concern is other players. Certainly the dealers were doing everything correct and very often offering you hand sanitizer, that kind of thing.
Right.
Now, as far as the chips go, we've talked about this. It was like, what do you do with the chips? And Wendy was saying, every night they disinfect them. But what good does that do? Because if somebody has the virus and it's on their hands as soon as they touch a chip, well, it's on the chip, right? They're doing all they can. I know the CDC just recently said that you're actually less likely to get the virus from a surface than being in close proximity to another person. So that helps a little bit. There's never going to be a perfect situation, but like I said, I felt safe there, and certainly you and I were constantly using the hand sanitizer.
Yes, and we brought our own.
Yeah, that's right.
I suggest people too. I mean, I have a little, spray bottle, and we sprayed our hands. I sprayed my chips a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't hurt.
Right.
Right. And I did spray my armpits at one point.
Good. I guess that's good.
I think the dealer's got a kick out of that.
Might help with any odor-causing germs.
Yeah, well, it was aloe scented, so I probably smelled like an aloe plant.
One funny thing, again, they change the dice for every shooter. When they take dice off the table, they sanitize them, they spray it down with this stuff. And when we first got there, they put 5 new dice on the table and sent it to me, and they were still covered with this disinfectant. And so I went to pick up just 2 dice. And all 5 dice came up in one clump. It was just like a solid 5 dice together because they were sticking together because of this disinfectant.
That was so hilarious. I mean, it wasn't like 2 stuck together. All 5 was like this mound of dice. You should have just picked them up and slammed them down, right?
Or I should have just rolled them all.
Yeah, right. I'll take this one. Oh, that was funny. There was another funny incident with the dice, too, with the sanitizing of the dice, right?
Well, let's talk about this player because it was kind of funny. He was standing right next to us, and he came up to the table. He had an interesting way of betting. He would bet $50 on the don't pass. And then once a point was established, he would place the place side number. And again, remember, the place side number is like the mirror image number of the point. So if the point were 5, then the place side number would be 9. So in his case, he'd put $50 on the don't pass, 5 was rolled, he'd make a $50 place bet on the 9. And then if that place bet won, say a 9 was rolled, he'd call no action on the don't pass bet on the 5. Remember that when you make a don't pass or a don't come bet and a number has been established for that bet, you can call the bet off because it's a terrible move, right? The casino lets you do it. I don't think I've ever seen anyone say no action on numbers other than 6 and 8. I mean, even that's a bad move. But to say, oh, no action on my 5.
You have a bet that's in your favor.
Yeah, 1.5 times in your favor. Yeah, and you're gonna be paid even money for it. So anyway, that was the way that he was betting, and he made some other bets too. But the funny thing was his timing was atrocious. He just seemed like every move he made was wrong. And so they passed the dice to him once, and he did roll. He moved to the pass line, had a terrible roll, and then when it came time for him to roll again, they passed the 5 dice to him. And instead of waving it off or saying, no, I don't want to, he actually touched the dice and pushed them towards me, meaning that they had to pull those dice off the table and disinfect them. And it seemed like he was completely oblivious to the fact of what he'd done. We're laughing. He's just, pushing the dice. What are you doing?
He was a strange guy.
Yeah.
And what's funny is there have been quite a few people at Harrah's who are not regulars, but are obviously regular craps players. Mm-hmm. And they're coming from the other casinos, which either A, haven't opened, or B, opened with no craps anymore. So they're all flocking to Harrah. So there were people there, who obviously are regular craps players, but we don't know them. And some of them are characters. But it's like a whole new group of people.
Yeah, right. Because Pechanga has not opened yet. I believe they're going to be opening soon. And then Paula, another casino by us, they have gotten rid of their craps table completely. We've heard it from several sources. So they just got rid of them completely.
And some of the places have limited their craps to one table. They went from 2 to 1 or whatever.
Well, I think for the most part, customers were observing the social distancing and wearing the masks. I know I kind of pointed out to you, Mike, there was a player there. His name's Robert. He's an older gentleman. Gosh, certainly in his 70s, maybe in his 80s. Uses a walker to kind of get around. And he had his mask off at one point at the table for a few minutes before the pit boss asked him to put it back on. But he had the mask off. And okay, you can have your opinion on how effective masks are at protecting you from the virus as opposed to protecting other people if you have the virus, that kind of thing. Fine, we won't get into this debate. But one thing that wearing a mask does is it discourages you from touching your face. And we all touch our face constantly. You'd be amazed at how much you touch your face. You don't even realize it. And I looked over at Robert. He's touching his face constantly. And I'm thinking, gosh, somebody that age who might not have the best of health, just wear the mask so you don't touch your face at least.
Right. Well, here's another reason to wear the mask. They require it.
That's right. It's the rule to go in. Yeah.
It's the rule. I mean, if the rule is the rule, and you want to be there, right? You have a choice whether you want to be there or not.
Right.
If you don't want to wear a mask, then don't go. And if you do want to go, just follow the rules.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as simple as that. I noticed some of the pit bosses really enforcing that, like telling people, no, you got to put your mask on. So you can lower your mask and take a drink out of your drink, but then, you got to put it back on. You can't stand there. Some of them enforce it. And then I noticed some that, don't say anything.
Yeah.
So either they're not paying attention or, they feel uncomfortable telling somebody what to do.
Right.
So they just haven't been doing it. I have noticed, and I noticed this last night quite a bit, if I'm playing at the craps table, if somebody comes up to talk to me, they have to stand a few feet away.
Yeah.
So they can't just come and stand right next to you, obviously, because then they'd be next to somebody else too. And so they make them stand back from the table. And I have seen them tell quite a few people, look, you got to stand back.
Okay, well, that's good.
And that's good. Yeah, the CDC said yesterday that from 3 feet on is where it starts to make a difference.
Okay.
So within 3 feet, you're not really social distancing. At 3 feet, you're starting to social distance. 6 feet's better. 9 feet's better. Obviously, the further away you get, the better you are.
Yeah.
But you have to be at least 3 feet. And that's what they were telling people, back off a few feet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, our experience there, I think, was very good. We felt safe. We had fun. The game still played the way that it usually does. And so, we're anxious to get back and play some more. Definitely a positive experience. And we're going to talk a little bit more about our experience, too, as we listen to some phone calls from listeners. But just a couple more things. They did completely close down the poker room at Harrah's Southern California. It was not much of a poker room to begin with. In fact, I'd say it was pretty lame. Even on a weekend night, maybe there'd be 2 or 3 tables and it will only be regulars. It just didn't attract much of a crowd. And so if you go to where the poker room used to be, it's all slot machines now. Another thing, we heard this secondhand from one of the players when we were there. He said that at Barona, which has opened, we talked on the last episode how we were surprised that it hadn't opened yet, but Barona, home of the coronavirus, they've actually opened. And he told us that at the craps table, and this must be true at the other tables too, the players don't touch their own chips. The chips are in special racks, like you'd have at a poker table, in front of the players. Now, I guess not up in the actual racks that you'd use at the real craps table, just down on the felt in these racks. And then the dealers are the one who deal with all the chips, paying you off, taking chips from the rack when you want to make a bet. You tell them what it is, that kind of thing. That seemed like a little much to me. Sure, it might be safer, but oh my gosh, you want to talk about slowing the game down.
Yeah, that would have to be incredibly slow.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, when they pay you, you'd have to okay, yeah, that's right. Let's put it in my stack.
Yeah, right. Right.
Because you'd have to check it out, right? Make sure they didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
And then when they take it out, you took out the right amount. I mean, it's just, that seems to me like that would be incredibly slow.
Yeah, I don't think that will last. I have a feeling that policy will go away fairly quickly, but that's what we heard anyway.
I think they should just have huge UV lights above the craps table that kill everything. I mean, just everything. And then you wear some kind of oxygen mask.
Oh, a suit to protect you from the UV.
Yeah, but chips and everything is just, everything's dead on it.
All right.
Nothing can survive.
Yeah. Sounds like a money-making opportunity for you, Dr. Mike. You might want to think about finding investors.
Patenting all these ideas.
Yeah.
No, just so when they implement it, I can say, well, I came up with
okay,
that.
Right. Yeah, get it patent first. All right. Well, so casinos are opening. We got an email from listener Jamie who told us about his experience going to Viejas here in the San Diego area. And let's just go through some of the items that he talked about. He said there are no more lines getting into the property. Remember, it was the first one to open in this area, so there were big lines initially. No more lines. The hotel is open. It's running about every other floor. We've heard that from other hotels, too. So every other floor.
Harrah's is open.
Yeah. Viejas provided a sanitation kit to people staying at the hotel, which included gloves, a bottle of sanitizer, and some masks.
Seems like there should be more stuff in there in the sanitation kit.
Maybe.
I mean, that's something I'm going to have to patent.
He said, at this time, everything must be requested through the front desk. For example, ice extra towels, extra water, that kind of thing. That makes sense.
Oh, I'd love to stay there. I'll have ice, and when they bring it, now I need a little more.
That's right. And then when they bring more, I don't need that much.
Yeah, take some back. That scares me, that amount of ice. Oh, God, they must go crazy with people's requests for stuff,
Viejas is providing housekeeping for guests that stay 3 nights or longer. You cannot request housekeeping for shorter stays.
That should become permanent.
Really? No, I like having the roommate every day.
I know, I do too. But you know what? To be honest, it really is better for the environment if we don't, wash the sheets every day and stuff like that.
I go along with you there, but doggone it. No. That's part of the experience. It's staying in the hotels, getting everything made up and nice and the beds made again. No, I need that every day. Yeah. Every day, Mike.
And then you just take all the toiletries and keep them each day so you get new toiletries. Yeah. I understand.
No, you know what I'm saying. All right. Jamie goes on to say, at the restaurants, waiters only take orders. Another person brings out drinks and food. Your waiter will not clear away food plates. Food cannot be ordered to go. All food must be consumed at the restaurant, although you can take your drinks with you out to the casino floor.
Gosh, I don't think my sister's going to be going to any casino restaurants. Her biggest pet peeve is she hates when her plate is not cleared.
Really?
So she hates to finish her meal and have the plate sitting there for a long time. She wants it taken away when she's done. She's always complained about that.
Here's my thing about restaurants, and I know this would not go over well with most customers, but I'll tell you, when they bring the food out to you, I want the bill then too. Bring the check, because I hate waiting for the check.
I'm 100% on board with that.
Nice.
Yeah. I hate waiting for the food.
Yeah, that's another one, too.
I wish you could phone in ahead.
That's my other thing. When I order it, I wish they would just give me the food right then and there.
Right. There's craps to be played. All that sitting there waiting for it to cook.
It's going to be a new normal when this is all done, Mike.
Yep.
All right, Jamie goes on. He's talking about craps. He said there was no wait. The minimums were $15 and $25. They only have 2 tables there, but no wait. And again, only 4 to a table at Viejas, 2 on each side. So you don't have to be smashed up against the stick person. And the casino is now open 24 hours a day. Initially, they closed down in the middle of the night to clean up. And I think most of the casinos around here, too, now are 24 hours.
I did not see on any of my trips in the last week anyone cleaning slot machines, as people left.
Okay.
I assume at certain times of the day they do, but I didn't see it routinely. I mean, I thought somebody would be walking around with 6 guns on their shoulder full of disinfectant spraying stuff, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. I didn't really think about that. But when you and I went, we played our free play at the bar, video poker, right? Every other seat closed.
Right.
And yeah, when we walked away, it's not like somebody jumped in real quick to clean up the station when we left. Yeah, that's a good point. That's something they need to work on, maybe.
No, there was no cleaning. As a matter of fact, last night when I played my free play, I saw somebody get up because it was kind of full, and I just went over and sat down. Nobody said anything. And the person's, empty drink was there and stuff, that nothing was wiped down. Now, when you went to the cashier, did you notice that after the person in front of you was done, the cashier sprayed the counter and wiped everything down at the cashier?
Yep, every time.
It's funny. It's so inconsistent.
Yeah.
So at the cashier, everything gets wiped down, but at the video poker, nothing gets wiped down.
Right, where you're actually, pressing your finger on the screen.
Yeah. So it just goes to show you that, you can play video poker and not get coronavirus. That's the game to play.
Oh, so
obviously, if you could, they'd be spraying it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
so
the cashier that's the danger.
That's what the casino is telling us, is that video poker's okay. Okay, that makes sense. Now I understand.
Video poker's safe. Cashing out your chips, that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's
Hang on to those chips. Don't cash them out. That's dangerous.
Anyway, thanks for all that information, Jamie. Well, the day that this episode drops, Vegas casinos are scheduled to open June 4th. Some of the bigger corporations are going to have staggered openings. In other words, only some of their properties are going to open and then others later. But a vast majority of Vegas casinos are going to be open on June 4th. And about a week ago, Derek Stevens sent out a video saying that he was giving away 1,000 free flights to Vegas, one-way flights to Vegas from various cities. And demand was overwhelming and very quick, and they were all gobbled up very quickly. So he actually went on and added 1,000 more. So 2,000 total that Derek Stevens is giving customers to fly to Vegas to get them into town. And it wasn't even a requirement that these people had to stay at one of his hotels. He was just getting them into town.
Yeah, that is great. I mean, I always admired Vinny Binion because he was the kind of guy that would take any bet. You know, he wasn't afraid.
Yeah.
He'd book any bets. He was a true casino owner. And Derek Stevens, you're right up there with Vinny Binion. I mean, giving away free flights after all this, that's amazing.
Yeah. And you could say, it's just a publicity stunt. Yeah, it's a publicity stunt. It's a great publicity stunt.
Right. It's smart business.
Yeah.
It's smart business. It makes him look good. Sure, it cost him a little bit of money. In the long run, he'll make it back in tenfold.
Yep. And again, we're really looking forward to Circa Open. He says that they're still on track because construction has continued during this whole shutdown. So they're still looking at December of this year to open up. So we're definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be great. That may revitalize downtown too,
Yep.
and may get some of the younger people back downtown.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's get on to some more voicemails. First up is Jason.
Hey, gentlemen, Jason from Michigan. Just calling with a little trip report from this previous weekend up in Mount Pleasant, Michigan to the Soaring Eagle Resort and Casino. We got invited to a little pre-VIP opening before it opened to the public. As we went in, they were handing out face masks, and they were doing body scans. You walk through something to get your temperature, which was very easy to do, and I kind of like that in general. I hope they keep that. Going into the casino, obviously it wasn't as many people with it being a limited amount of people they invited. They were serving alcohol. This was the part that I found very weird at the same time as I was glad they were. We got a couple cocktails, and as we walked around the casino and started to play table games or slots, every time we went to take our face mask down to take a drink, there was security, scattered all over, or dealers saying you need to put your face mask back on. So that part I found very unusual. I just don't think they knew quite yet how to handle it. They were a little hypersensitive. We weren't quite sure why they were serving alcohol when they weren't allowing you to take your face mask down to drink it. Other than that, we played both slots and tables. Of course, every other slot was turned off. And at the tables, there was 3 to a table. No plexiglass. We were allowed to touch the cards, and we did have chips. Both those things surprised me. They did change the cards more frequently than I've ever seen before. And chips, I did not see them sanitize or do anything like that. And we probably played for about 6 hours. So overall, it was a pretty okay experience. I think I'll wait for them to lift the face mask policy before I go back. The other really nice thing was no smoking. And the dealers were commenting how much they hope they keep that rule. And a lot of players were in agreement that we hope that the smoking policy stays with no smoking. Have a great day. Good luck gambling out there to everyone, and I can't wait to get to Vegas.
Okay, so this is a good example of how different casinos are going to have different policies. For example, at Harrah, Southern California, they did still allow smoking. You had to step away from the table, and you had to be far enough away from people, but you were still able to smoke. Now, touching chips and cards, well, this is the first we've heard of a casino that's allowing players to touch the cards as well. So that is interesting. He said that they were replacing them quite a bit. But again, maybe this is because the CDC came out and said, you're not quite as likely to catch the virus by touching a surface. And then he said no plexiglass. A lot of you have probably seen these pictures of these plexiglass dividers that they have on tables. Blackjack tables, carnival game tables. I even saw a picture of some plexiglass at the craps table at Foxwoods. So a lot of casinos are implementing that. We did not have that at Harrah, Southern California either.
Just at the cage.
Right. At places like that where you were, like at the Caesars Reward counter. Yeah, places like that where you're purchasing stuff, but not on the tables.
The gift shop had it at the cash register.
Right. And then as far as drinks go, at least at Harrah's Southern California, anytime you order a drink now, they bring it to you in a plastic cup with a lid, and a straw. So it's actually very easy to just kind of lift your mask a little bit, take a sip, and then put your mask down again.
Yeah, I like that the drinks come with a lid on them.
Yes.
So obviously somebody put it on a lid. So if she's carrying it around to different tables, at least nobody's breathing in your drink, you know.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
You know, as they get close. I mean, you know, when she's serving somebody, if they took their mask down or something, they'd be breathing on your cup.
Sure.
So at least with a lid, you have some protection.
Yep, yeah.
I've heard that not all the Vegas casinos are going to require masks
for
either.
The customers, right? I think all the employees need to wear the mask, but some it's going to be optional. Yeah.
Right. Some it's going to be optional. So that's a big difference. You know, here in San Diego, customers have to wear them, at least as of now. But in Vegas, yeah, you'll have a choice whether you want to wear them or not. And I think you'll see a lot of people not wearing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I hate wearing a mask just because it's uncomfortable, but I like wearing a mask in these times, again, because it really discourages me from touching my face. And I know I do that a lot. So I actually feel more comfortable with the mask on in these times.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I've been wearing masks for over 35 years and I don't feel uncomfortable at all with one on.
Yeah.
But it's been so long. But even I'd rather not wear it in the casino.
Yeah, of course, sure.
For me, it's the hearing. When people talk, I can't. My hearing's not that good anyway. And a casino's loud, and with the mask on, their mouth is kind of muffled. It's hard to hear.
Yeah, it does make a difference. That reminds me, too, we were talking out at the casino. Some of the dealers were asking about your work, and we were all joking, but quite serious at the same time, that you're a lot safer in the casino than you are at your job.
Oh, by far. Yes, by far.
All right, let's hear from Dr. Mike.
Hey, guys. This is Dr. Mike as well. Although it's my PhD, but I have been a long-time listener. I went back to the beginning and listened to all your podcasts, and I just am so glad I found you guys. Hey, I wanted to call because over Memorial Day last weekend, I went down to Tunica, Mississippi, and it was odd that the way all of the casinos were doing things. Now that they're open back up, they opened the Thursday before the weekend. I stayed at the Fitzgerald's, and when I got there, they were asking questions at first when you went in, but they quickly tapered off by the evening of that first night. They weren't requiring temperature, no masks, no hand sanitizer use, but all of it was available. They allowed smoking. There was plexiglass everywhere, including the bar, which was closed. You could only get a drink from a waitress, but you could get napkins, and that's going to be important later on. The table games were open. There were 3 to a table with a waiting list, kind of like the poker rooms have. They called your name over the intercom. They had a plexiglass between each player. Craps was wide open, just like normal. It was limited to 3 people per side, but it was wide open. Slot availability was staggered, but it seemed like there were more than the other casinos that I visited, and I'll get to that. They did have one place open for food. You could eat there. I actually stayed there over the weekend in a hotel room. They had no ashtrays or do not disturb door hangers on the doors, which I thought was odd. But they did have plenty of slot machine wipes and hand sanitizer, and the place was packed. I went to Sam's Town later on that night. They didn't require any mask or anything, but they were available. They had plexiglass at the Players Club and the cashier, but oddly enough, the bar was wide open, except for every other machine was turned off. But they would serve you beer. You could walk up and get a beer, but you could not get a napkin. There were no napkins available. The deli there was open, and it had dine-in seating available, but that was the only place that was open. Slots were staggered as well. There were no table games available there. And what was really odd is that they did not have any music. They didn't want people dancing or congregating on the dance floor, even to the music system, which I thought was odd. Saturday.
You got cut off there. Well, see, now that's, again, more policies, different casinos, no music. That might be going a little far. You're worried that people are just going to be dancing. Is that a real issue in Tunica?
Well, maybe they're worried about people singing. You know, they don't want somebody breaking out in a song and then spreading the virus around. You know how that happens.
Yeah, I guess so.
The napkin thing is funny because at our work, we're not allowed to have Kleenex in the office.
Really?
Yeah, because you'll touch the box, and sometimes people grab a Kleenex and they touch the other one or they breathe on it. So no more Kleenex.
Oh,
so people are like finished and they want to like wipe their mouth or something. You're like, use your hand. I don't know.
Jeez.
There's no Kleenex.
But again, see, some of these casinos, no table games. I guess I can understand no do not disturb signs because everybody's going to be touching that. But different policies, different casinos, even in the same gambling region.
I wonder if they had the magazines in the room.
Oh, no way. No.
Yeah, because we're supposed to take all of our magazines out of our waiting rooms and stuff. I mean, your waiting room has basically become a couple of chairs, and the government would really prefer you not even have those. They would prefer you just don't have anyone in the waiting room.
Yeah, just have people stand outside of the office, out in the parking lot until you're called in.
Yeah, that's what a lot of us have been doing. In my building, that's what most of us dentists have been doing.
Yeah, that's true. My son's orthodontist, that's what we did. We actually pulled up to the office and we called in to let them know that we were there. And they said, okay, yeah, you can come in now. And then they took him back and sent me back to the car.
Right. Yeah, same. That's what we've been doing too with people.
But again, different policies all over the place, and we're going to see them constantly changing. It'll be interesting to see what comes from Las Vegas with all these casinos opening at once. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Mark in Florida. I really enjoy your show and was just listening to your most recent episode, and you were talking about structuring and paperwork and disclosures that the casinos have to do to report financial crime. Well, you all were also talking about casino and gambling movies here lately. And one movie I watched recently, very good movie, has a little bit of casino action, and it's called Hell or High Water. And these two brothers robbing some small banks in Texas, and then they'll take the cash a couple 100 miles into Oklahoma, buy in for chips with that cash, play poker for a little while, and then go cash out their chips, or even better yet, they have the casino make out a check for them. So I know there's a plot hole in there somewhere because there's they pretty much had a clean and easy way to launder their money. So I just wonder about your take on that. Is that a major plot hole in what's otherwise a pretty good movie? Hey, really enjoy the show, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mike, have you seen Hell or High Water?
No, I have not.
Very good movie. Yeah, it was nominated for Best Picture. Jeff Bridges is in it. He's always good. He's particularly good in this.
Yes.
But yeah, at one point they're laundering money through a casino. No, I don't look at that as a plot hole. I look at that as artistic license, because if you had to include, everything, all the paperwork that they're filling out, or just the fact that they're having to fill out paperwork, better to just ignore that and move along with the story. I think of plot holes as things that are just gaping problems. Like, well, wait, why didn't they do this? Wait, what happened to that character? Nah, well, I'll just write this one off to artistic license and just say it's a very good movie. Catch it if you can. Hell or High Water.
Maybe that's why Colorado has such low limits, Mark. They're trying to avoid people laundering money in their casinos.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's not a bad thought. Yeah, that's good, Mike. I like that.
Well, we'll run an experiment. We'll give Melanie some money to launder.
Okay, about $20,000, yeah.
Yeah, about $20,000 next time we see her. We'll see if she can run it through the casinos there.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Ben from Texas. I wanted to call in and thank you guys for continuing to put out the podcast for these few months that we've all been indoors. And I wanted to tell a story. I'm a big fan of craps as well, and I go to Vegas 4 or 5 times a year, and I'm really missing it right now. But I want to tell a quick story. The first time that I took my wife to Las Vegas, she had a conference, so I decided to tag along, and she had never played craps before. So I told her, I said, I'll teach you how to play. This is at Caesar's Palace. So we got on a table. I don't remember the minimum, probably $15, probably $25. But I bought in for $500 or so, as I usually do, and put the chips in front of her and proceeded to show her how to play craps. So I would tell her, put $25 on the pass line and then put some money here, put some money there. Well, the first roller rolls for about 45 minutes. And of course, we're making some pretty good money. Finally, the 7 out came, and then the second shooter decides to roll for almost 45 minutes as well. And I finally just took a chunk of the chips that my wife had in front of her and squeezed my way in and decided to start playing myself. She finally had kind of figured out what she was doing. So we were both playing. Then a third shooter rolls for a half hour to 45 minutes as well. And in the middle of it all, I just remember my wife looking at me and saying, "Oh my goodness, I love this game. All they do is give you chips." And I just laughed and thought, well, it probably won't be like this again for you, but, enjoy it while it's here. We ended up winning somewhere around $2,400, and it was great fun. We have not together had anything close to that, but she was a fan from that point on in craps. Anyway, thanks, guys, for the podcast. Really appreciate what you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Good. I'm glad that happened when he was teaching his wife. Seems like whenever we teach people, it's terrible.
Well, that's because it was his wife.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I know exactly what happened, Ben. The whole way home, she's thinking to herself, but why does he always say he lost a little or he won a little? And it's so easy to win. What's he doing with the money?
Yeah. Better be careful, Ben.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to show him that. Oh no, it's I lose quite a bit, honey.
Why?
Isn't it funny? Every time you're a first-time shooter, they have winning rolls. I don't get that.
It's hard to explain, Mike, but it happens every time, doesn't it?
Every time, Mark.
All right, next call.
Hi, guys. This is Wendy from Illinois. Not going to lie, I've been spending the last couple of months trying to come up with the perfect question for my lack of knowledge in the gambling world. I don't know the right question to sound intelligent for craps or anything else. So what I wanted to do was just impress my husband with the fact that I'm interested in what he's interested in. I love gambling, and I love the fact that he loves your podcast, and he waits until I'm with him to listen to it. So I know more than I think I know. But because of you and this podcast, we're able to share things together that we normally wouldn't be able to share. So for that, I thank you. Blessings to you and all that you do. And may you continue on with this forever and ever, because we enjoy listening to you. So thank you so much. I appreciate all that you do. Bye-bye.
Wasn't that a great call?
That is a great call. That might go down as the best call ever, Mike.
That made my day. Mike, before we started recording, we were talking about how I had a crummy day. You were really tired. Thank you so much, Wendy. That really improves our mood. That's just fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and when I go downstairs, my wife, the first thing she's going to say is, how'd the podcast go and what'd you talk about? She says that every time. And usually I'm like, oh, this and that, the usual. It's kind of hard for me to remember 10 minutes down the road what I talked about. But this I will remember. And when I get downstairs, I'm going to tell her first thing what a good call that was.
Oh, my gosh, that's great. All right. Well, speaking of Melanie, she's up next.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Dr. Mike. This is Melanie from Colorado. Loved seeing that picture on Twitter of Dr. Mike back in action. Lots of space around him. Got the mask on. Very cool. So I have a question I cannot find an answer for, and this is mostly for Mark. So I love to play in the high limit room at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas because they have wonderful snacks and the really nice private bathroom. I always play one machine that's 9-6 jacks or better. It's $1 machine, but I typically play one credit because, I'm usually a quarter video poker player. So I know 9-6 jacks or better is typically the best, EV, but if I'm just playing one credit, how much EV am I giving up? Like, is it 95%, 91%? I can't figure that out, and I know you're the math guy. So, seriously, so excited to hear your stories from Harrah's San Diego. I think it's RingCon is what it's called. Anyway, I can't wait to hear your stories. Really glad you guys are back in action. And thanks for all the great work you guys do.
Yeah, thanks, Melanie. It's funny, Mike, that picture that I did tweet out. It's of you sitting there. You've got your hands folded. You've got the mask on. It's not a very action-packed picture.
No,
it kind of looks like you're bored, but it's just because you've got that mask on.
Well, and it was the come-out roll, and nothing was really going on, right? We were waiting for somebody to roll. And I looked terrible. Last night, one of the dealers, I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but he said, Mike, you've gained a lot of weight. And I'm like, yes, I did gain a lot of weight. I put on 30 pounds.
Oh,
and
gosh.
it was all the first 2 weeks of coronavirus.
Oh, boy.
Because I was nervous and I was sitting at home, not going to work.
Yeah.
I wasn't really in the cleaning the house mood yet or anything. So, we were just sitting and snacking all day and watching TV. And I've lost a little bit of it now. I'm trying to lose it back. But it was terrible that first 2 weeks. But it was funny last night when he said that. I'm like, that's it. I've got to get back to a normal weight.
Well, you're not alone. A lot of us have gone through the same thing during this whole shutdown.
I know.
But rest assured, we were having a very good time that night, despite what the picture might have looked like.
Yeah, it was a fun night. I like when Melanie said she likes the bathroom in the high limit area of Cosmo.
My gosh.
And we have this bathroom at Harrah's Rincon that's kind of off the beaten path.
Yes.
And I mean, it takes a while to get back there and get to, but it's the perfect bathroom because it's always clean, never crowded.
That's right.
And we go out of our way.
Out of our way. We passed 3 or 4 restrooms to get to that one.
It's so stupid what humans will do just for... I mean, I like it because it's clean and quiet.
That's right. That's all you want when you go to the bathroom. It's not stupid.
I don't want anyone hearing me sitting in the stall complaining to myself about what an idiot I was while I was playing.
All right. Well, this 9-6 machine that Melanie is talking about, right, 9-6 jacks or better is the best jacks or better pay table that typically you're going to find, and it has a 99.54% return. That's with perfect play, of course. 99.54%. If you're only playing one coin, that drops to 98.37%. And keep in mind, the only difference is what the Royal Flush pays. So typically 9-6 jacks or better, you can bet anywhere from 1 to 5 coins. When you bet 1 coin, if the Royal Flush hits, you're paid $250 for 1. If you're playing all 5 coins, you're going to get paid at $800 for 1, or in other words, 4,000 coins. So it's a lot better. So that's the only differences on the Royal Flush. It goes from 99.54% down to 98.37%. So there you go.
So let me ask you this, Mark.
Yes.
If I had a crystal ball and I knew that I was going to play this jacks or better machine for 1 hour, and in that 1 hour, a Royal Flush was not going to come up.
Okay.
It would not matter if I played 1 or 5 coins, right?
Well, sure, right. It would not matter, although you'd probably want to play 1 coin because you're going to lose less money, theoretically.
Theoretically. Right.
And you'd be in the high limit room and getting better drinks, supposedly. So it's worth it.
Correct. Now, since we don't have a crystal ball, play max coin, Melanie.
Yeah. So you're saying she should play $5 every time? I do not agree with this, Melanie, but I'll...
She doesn't have the max coin. How about she plays 1 coin, I play the other 4?
Okay. Next time you're in the Cosmo together, that'll be the deal. And you'll just get drunk on all the cocktails they bring you.
Yeah, well, and we have the nice bathroom, so we can drink all we want.
That's right. All right, next call.
Hello, guys. This is Matt from PA. I was listening to your podcast recently, and with nothing to do, I thought of a question to ask you guys. With how much you guys play craps, do you think that in a later life, or if for some reason it came about, that you guys would make good crap dealers? You seem to know a lot about the game, obviously, and just with the math acuity and the personability that you guys have, just that's evident from listening to even one show. You guys would make good craps dealers. So do you think you guys have it in yourselves to maybe do that in later life, or do you think you could do it? Thanks for listening to me. I enjoy the shows. Bye, guys.
Well, we did used to deal craps for casino parties. Just here in town, there would be corporate events or parties, that kind of thing, and they'd have a casino theme, and we would deal craps. So we actually have done it in the past. So I know we could do it.
I'm laughing because when we dealt craps, first of all, we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
We were young. We had so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we were both out of college, and we did not really need the money per se, but we did it for a little extra cash. Plus, it got us around the game.
Yeah.
In those days, there weren't casinos in San Diego that had craps.
Right.
So it got us around the game, and we had fun doing it. I don't know about you, Mark, but I had a blast.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there was always something crazy going on, some crazy story. And, we were young and single, and some of the parties had younger women. So that was a plus, too.
Yeah.
But, that was our motive for doing it. Would we do it for a living, after when we were older? Probably not. I mean,
we probably wouldn't, but I think we could.
Oh, we could, yeah.
Yeah. If, when we retire, we might not want, I probably wouldn't want to have to deal with angry customers. You're always going to get people who are drinking or angry, that kind of thing. I wouldn't want to have to deal with that, but I would still love to be around the game. And I wouldn't mind maybe, a couple of nights, maybe a month, just go in and deal.
Well, do you remember a while back at Harrah's Rincon, there was a dealer, an older guy. I mean, he was definitely, I think, in his 60s somewhere. And he was also a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I remember.
But he worked part-time at Harrah's on the weekend at dealt craps. And he was an excellent dealer.
Yes.
And he just really loved doing craps, and it made him a little extra money. So
that's right. Yeah, he did not need the dealer job. He had a good income in real estate. Yeah, and he was very good.
Yeah, he was very good, and he enjoyed it. And people have their different reasons. But I always think about him, and that could be me someday.
Yeah. All right, last call from William.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is William from Fort Worth. It's been a month or so since I've called, but I had a few questions or comments, too. Hey, I've just finished all 209 episodes of You Can Bet on That. It took me 96 days. I started on February 17th, so I did some quick math. We're going to say every episode was 60 minutes. So it's 12,540 minutes of you guys.
Eesh.
Divided by 96 days, I listened to y'all for 130.6 minutes a day. There's no doubt that makes us best friends. So I can't wait to play craps with y'all in Vegas sometime. We come out there, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times a year. But I'm ready to be out there, especially now that I've gotten emails. I guess maybe all the Caesars properties are doing 5 times tier multipliers. I'm hoping to get to Bossier, maybe push me over the top to 7 stars for the first time, which I think I can get there. I'm hoping to get updates from the casinos from you guys. I think y'all probably been. Are they serving drinks? Does everybody have masks? Does nobody have masks? Just all those kind of things. And you feel safe. I definitely like to drink when we play, as I know a lot of people do. And if that's not part of it, it's not near as fun to lose your money if you're not, at least drinking a little. Another question. I'd asked a question about reward credits before, but this whole swap is throwing me off because I never knew about it for free play swap. So I've got, I think, 15,000 reward credits. So based on what I think I'm hearing you guys say, that's worth $7,500 in free play. Well, I mean, that's pretty substantial. Now, I realize you can only get, was it $4 or $4.50 a day, or it depends on your level. Is that what you're saying? 'Cause that's pretty nice. I look forward to getting that. Another question. Why doesn't Dr. Mike, being the big baller that he is, stay at Nobu? I'm surprised I don't think I've heard him stay at Nobu before. But we love staying there because it's so fast. The elevators are great. It's really nice. The rooms aren't giant, but they're nice. And it's so quick to get down to the casino floor there at Caesars. I know y'all stay at Caesars. But and Cromwell can get loud, but it is the same. You can just immediately down in the casino. So that's it. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you later. Take care.
Mike, I'm guessing the reason you've never stayed at Nobu is just because it's never occurred to you.
Well, no, it has.
It has? Okay.
Nobu is not affiliated with Caesars Rewards. So you cannot get a comped room in Nobu.
They won't comp you? Oh, really? Even at 7 stars, they won't give you a comp?
I've asked. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I was told that, no, you cannot. You have to pay for that. Now, you do get like a discount or something. So it's one of those things where, it's not free, but they discount it. Okay. And my wife and I have actually talked about it, but we just never have. It's just, all the time they set me up. And plus, they usually give us a suite. So turning down a free suite versus having to pay for a room.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I would like to stay there, and I think someday we will.
Okay, yeah, now that's starting to ring a bell now that you actually say it out loud. Yeah, I think I do remember you talking about that. Well, William, we do have some bad news about your reward credits. Now, let's just back up and explain this. When you earn reward credits through Caesars Rewards, you can use those credits to pay for things at the gift shop and restaurants and that kind of thing. Or you can convert them to free play. And the ratio is 2-to-1, meaning you have to use twice as many reward credits to get the amount of free play. So if you've got $2,000 in reward credits, you can convert that into $1,000 of free play. Now, William, you said you had 15,000 reward credits. That's $150 worth of reward credits. So if you converted that into free play, it would be $75, not $7,500.
Yeah, what you have to do, you got to divide by 100 first.
Yeah.
So I just get rid of 2 zeros as soon as I see my reward credits, and then I know how many dollars I have.
Yeah, reward credits are basically worth a penny, not $1. Each reward credit is worth a penny.
Right. And so your 15,000 is actually $150.
Yes.
And when you convert it, you're only going to get 75. Lately, Mark, I've been using all of mine to buy gifts and stuff in the stores.
I was looking too. I've got so many. I probably should spend some just even at the gift shop, even if it's overpriced.
Well, yeah, because when you get up to like $3,000 or $4,000 that you have to use, it's like, well, just buy some stuff in the store. We buy stuff we use. We don't buy stuff that, we just hangs out.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And then William did talk about this. I do believe it's taking place at all Caesars properties. They are offering a 5 times multiplier for your tier credits for the month of June. So definitely take advantage of that, especially if you're looking to move up to the next tier level. I know here at Harrah, Southern California, we just had to run our card through the kiosk there and select, the 5 times multiplier. But you do have to actively select it when you go to the casino. It's not automatic.
That still makes me mad.
Yeah.
Oh, it just drives me crazy that you actually have to select it.
Yeah.
Just give it to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank listener James for his recurring PayPal donation and also listener David for his recent PayPal donation. Thank you very much.
By the way, I texted James the other day, and he texted me back and forth, and he said to say hi to you.
Oh, good.
And
hi.
His family is doing well, and everything's good back there in New York where he lives.
Good.
I was just curious because they were hit so hard with coronavirus.
Yeah.
But he's doing well, and he said he hopes to see us gambling. Now, James, I don't know if that'll happen on the East Coast this year.
Yeah.
But definitely Vegas. I'm kind of hoping that a lot of us get together in December for Circa opening.
Well, yeah, and if Circa opening just happened to coincide with the Great Gift Wrap-Up, that would be perfect.
Oh, my God, that'd be like a dream come true. If that was the same week, we could get the Great Gift Wrap-Up and see Circa. That would be cause enough for a lot of, Midwest and East Coast people to come out to Vegas, I think.
I agree, yeah. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonThat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. What do you got, Dr. Mike?
Well, Mark, I know you had a bad day today.
Yeah.
And I don't want to bum you out anymore, but I don't know if you saw today that the Major League Baseball, the owners turned down the players' proposal for a 114-game season.
Yeah.
The owners had asked for an 80-game season. The players came back with 114 games, more games, but they wanted more of their money that they were promised. I heard some of the top players, like, for instance, Mike Trout, who I think makes like $36 million a year, would only get, under the owner's plan, about 23% of his pay.
Okay.
I mean, that's significant.
Yeah,
You're only going to get a quarter. Of course, he's only going to play 80 games, which is still half a season. But anyway, it just bummed me out. I wish they would just come up with something and get it started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the players wanted to go until the end of October. and have the playoffs and World Series in November.
Yeah, you'd almost have to force the the playoffs in the World Series to be in warm weather stadiums.
Or indoor. Or it'd have to be in an indoor stadium, a neutral site, maybe.
Teams might not even be able to play their home games at their home stadium if you do that. Yeah, I don't really like that idea,
right?
But
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I just wish they'd come up with a solution because I really need to have baseball back.
I know. It's been so long. Yeah.
I mean, it's a selfish reasoning, but I really need to have baseball back. Yeah. I want to be able to turn on the TV and root for somebody or root against somebody. Or
I know.
Whatever.
I didn't realize till all this happened that sometimes I just very casually will turn on a game. Even something I'm not even interested in, baseball or otherwise. Just, I'll go to ESPN. Right. There's probably a game on.
Right. Well, for me, it's relaxing.
Yes.
I kind of like it. And even when I'm doing something else, like I'll be writing bills, but in the background, I'll have the game on and I'll look up every once in a while. And I mean, it's just become so much a part of our lives.
Yes.
Now, I know that's not everybody because we're big sports fans, but some people who aren't sports fans, there's something else that's a big part of their life. But for me, if baseball came back, I would feel so much better.
Yeah, me too.
So I was disappointed when I read that today. I was like, come on, come up with something.
Yeah.
But we do have the casino back.
At least we have that. We can look forward to that each week. Yep.
Right. It might be a limited fashion, but it was still fun. And you know what was really good? I have to say this. I liked seeing everybody again.
Yes. Yeah. The dealers and the regular players. Yes.
Right. These are people that, we were seeing every week. They're kind of like a part of your life now.
Yeah.
Even though, some you may be not close with, but you say hi to them every week and, you talk to them. And some of the players are actually friends of ours. So, it's nice to see them out and about again.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got this week. I'm hoping that we get more and more to talk about.
Yeah, well, by our next show, we'll probably have a lot more information again because the Las Vegas casinos are opening, and we'll probably have a lot more information about that. So looking forward to all this.
I'm hoping it goes well in Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't want them to have problems. I want them to open and just get back to normal.
Yeah, that's our wish. All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.
Oh, sweet mother, I love you, Dr. Mike.